to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Yeah, it's not personal for her, but it's personal for me for many reasons. And I'm competitive. I'm hungry to become undisputed. This is the fight that I've been trying to make and wanting to make since I was with Golden Boy Promotions. Around the time that they maybe first signed me, I wanted to make this fight happen because I wanted to become undisputed. So I'm just excited and fucking hungry to become undisputed, and I can't wait for March 29th. Sorry.
That guy, Bob, you like a little drop of the F-bomb there. But you said it's personal for several reasons. I'm going to poke a little bit more there so that people can kind of understand what's built up that inside of you. What are those reasons?
I mean, it's clear that I was promoted by Golden Boy Promotions, of course, and then Valle always saying in interviews that I'm ducking and that I'm running from her, which is completely false because there's never been any effort from her side to make the fight happen. It's always been from my side since the beginning. I told Golden Boy Promotions about her. That's how they knew about her. So I wanted it from the start. Never ducking.
The first face-off in what is the kickoff press conference for the Oscar Valdez versus Liam Wilson fight, the chief support, the co-main event to the main event, the undisputed minimum weight title fight between the two remaining champions at minimum weight, Senicia Estrada and Yokasta Valle. And already you're seeing the difference in demeanor, the difference in temperament between the fighters, between the champions, where Yokasta Valle is just taking it all in, enjoying the moment, and she's all smiles. Senicia Estrada is all business.
She's focused on one thing, and that's winning.
Yokasta Valle seemingly reveling in the moment, enjoying it while it lasts. The biggest fight of her career, for the biggest money, with the biggest profile, and the most prestige. Senicia Estrada,
for her, it's personal.
Yokasta Valle went as far as saying that Senicia is taking it too personal, making it personal. Well, maybe to Yokasta, it isn't.
Maybe.
But to Senicia, this is her chance to stick it to Golden Boy Promotions. Take it out on one of their fighters. They didn't part ways on amicable terms, you understand.
But already, you see the difference between the fighters, the difference in their temperament. That's what you're going to see on the night.
It's not because Yokasta Valle isn't a good fighter. She is a good fighter. She's a very good fighter. But Senicia Estrada is just better in every way, better all around. That's how the fight is going to play out. Yokasta Valle is best described as a mid-range to inside combination puncher, but she doesn't have as much firepower at that range as Senicia Estrada.
Not as much firepower, and she often loses form when putting punches together.
Where Senicia's hooks are tighter and sharper.
Harder.
And when they were face-to-face, the discrepancy in size disguised behind Yokasta Valle's 6-inch heels. She dressed for the occasion, but she's actually a bit shorter than Senicia Estrada. Thus, it's going to be on her to try to close the distance to get off those combinations, and I think that's going to be very difficult to do. Senicia Estrada is more coordinated with better balance, better movement, coming forward or moving backwards or moving lateral. She's a little taller, a little longer, and a little faster. Punch is a bit sharper and harder. She can catch Yokasta Valle coming in, and she can catch her with hard shots, clean punches.
It's not going to be pretty. I anticipate it's going to be one-sided.
Yokasta, decorated fighter that she is, she's no match for Senicia Estrada. She's not a better physical specimen, not a better technician.
She's good.
But Senicia is great, and that's the difference. That's what I think we're going to see in late March on the undercard of Liam Wilson versus Oscar Valdez. I think that Senicia Estrada, she's going to do more than just win the fight. She's going to make a statement. She's going to send a message.
I think she's going to become undisputed champion.
We lost our Twin Towers. We did. We lost Showtime and HBO. We lost our Twin Towers. Boxing's on its way out. The zone boxing, I told y'all, the zone boxing is about to be done. They had to cut Eddie Hearn's budget. The zone went to and they said, you're not giving us what we're asking for. We gave you a ton of money and we still haven't seen that back, Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
And what they did, they cut. He said, I have to cut fighters now. Yeah. And it's like, Yeah, you have to cut fighters because your ass don't know how to promote. You ain't a good promoter.
We all know why Teofimo Lopez is taking shots at Eddie Hearn and taking shots at DAZN. For some reason, he's got it in his head that they set him up, that they're the reason that he lost the George Kambosos fight.
If they're the reason you lost, then why tell the world that you went into that fight sick? That you went in there with air in your lungs or air in your chest or something or other?
Think about it. If the only reason that you lost that fight was because they rigged it and they set you up, then why are you trying to cultivate sympathy by telling people you were sick? Are you saying you lost the fight because you were sick or because they set you up? Which one is it?
He's saying that DAZN is on their way out when DAZN has only expanded its area of operations, operating in more and more territories from when they first debuted in America.
He's saying that Matchroom is on its way out and that Eddie Hearn is not a good promoter when Eddie Hearn and Matchroom have expanded their area of operations as well to the land of the rising sun, forming a partnership with Kamita Promotions in Japan. So now they're operating out of the UK, they're operating out of America, Australia, Mexico, Japan.
And this is the stuff the usual suspects don't tell you about. This is the stuff that a lot of the would-be boxing scribes and would-be boxing media doesn't often bring up on their channels.
And what Teofimo Lopez himself failed to mention in his spirited rant. Where do you get that they're down bad and they're doing bad and their budget is cut when they're only expanding? Their area of operations is growing.
Do you realize that the distributor for the undisputed title fight between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, do you realize the distributor for that fight in most territories is DAZN?
Do you understand that? Do you understand that the powers that be are using the DAZN platform to distribute that fight because it reaches more corners of the world than any of these other aforementioned platforms? HBO, Showtime. Yeah, there was a time when they were the Twin Towers, but that time is past. And that is something that a lot of American fight fans and a lot of American fighters are struggling with. This is not the mecca of boxing anymore. Las Vegas?
That's not the fight capital of the world anymore. It's actually Saudi. And who was in bed with Saudi? Who was in bed with the investors in that region of the world before anybody? Eddie Hearn was. Matchroom was. Do you remember the Joshua versus Ruiz fight? Who do you think paid for that?
Teofimo is in full villain mode, taking shots at anyone from Terrence Crawford to Rolly Romero to Subriel Matias, who Matchroom just signed, to taking shots at Matchroom itself.
He's still got an axe to grind because he lost to George Kambosos, but some part of it feels like it's Teofimo playing the heel and being the villain, being the bad guy. While you're being the bad guy, don't make yourself look and sound like a fucking idiot.
Because you sound like a fucking idiot. The whole time you've been forecasting Matchroom and DAZN's demise, they've only expanded their area of operations. So I don't get the sense that they're on their way out. No, I get the sense that you're one of these fighters that tries to wear too many hats. Too many hats that don't fit you. Too many hats that aren't for you. While you're playing the business guy, why don't you focus on boxing?
Because we saw what happened the last time you lost focus.
Wait till y'all see what I do to Ortiz. Look, my sparring partners, I haven't been hitting them hard. And I'm dropping them, body shots, head shots. I mean, I've only gotten better. I needed that fight. I needed those. I needed to feel that flow again, and I got it, man. I got it, and I got it more when I started being with my son, because he got so much light in him, and he just gave it to his dad.
And now as it pertains to tomorrow night's fight between Teofimo Lopez, the champion, and Jermaine Ortiz, the challenger, I've decided to go with Teofimo Lopez to win on the predication that he's better in some areas than Jermaine Ortiz, that he's a sharper puncher, stronger and faster, better in the pocket, his hooks are more compact and defensible, more experience at this level, the championship level, and it helps that he's going into the fight with a mental edge, that he's not in unfamiliar territory. He's shared the ring with Jermaine Ortiz before when they were young, when they were amateurs. He beat him then, and I think he's going to beat him tomorrow night.
You often hear me say that Teofimo is unstable, that he's definitely talented and he's got some tools, but I don't know how bankable he is. Well, Jermaine Ortiz is even less bankable than Teofimo.
I don't really trust Teofimo, but I trust Jermaine Ortiz even less. I caught the weigh-in, and I saw a lot of nervous energy from Jermaine Ortiz. This is the biggest fight of his career, the biggest fight so far, and I can't trust that he's going to apply the right strategy. What's the right strategy? Use your height, use your length, stay on the outside, stay on your toes, keep distance between you and him because he's shorter than you are.
Peck away at the little guy while maintaining that distance. You throw singles, that'll frustrate him, cause him to lunge in, cause him to start making mistakes that you can exploit. I can't trust that Jermaine is going to do that.
I can't trust that he's all of a sudden going to become an outside fighter, an outside jabber overnight. Jermaine Ortiz, he's got some tools, good speed, decent power, not the best, good dimensions for a super lightweight, and he's a young guy, a fresh guy, ambidextrous. He can fight orthodox and he can fight southpaw, but he doesn't seem put together to me.
Yeah, he's got some tools. He's a solid fighter.
But he punches a bit wider than Teofimo, so I could see Teofimo catching him in between, and I like Teofimo's variety of punches, his assortment of punches, more than I like Jermaine Ortiz's. While Teofimo's not that great on the front foot coming forward and trying to stalk his opponent, I could see him baiting Jermaine Ortiz.
Baiting him to throw so he can counter what he throws, because Teofimo's got faster hands than Jermaine Ortiz. Quicker counters. He's quicker to the draw.
I like Teofimo Lopez to win this fight. I like Teofimo Lopez to keep his WBO title. Now, what he's going to do after that, I'm not sure.
But conservatively, I think he can win a points decision in tomorrow's main event. So I'm going with Teofimo Lopez on points conservatively.
First of all, man, what's wrong with Rollies? Is something wrong with Rollies? Right? I love the kid. He's like funny as hell. But I think there's something off with him. No, because he's making less money fighting with no guarantee. And I wish that platform all the best, but when you're gonna have Keith Thurman versus who?
Tim Zhu.
Tim Zhu. No disrespect, because I love Tim Zhu, but either one is a pay-per-view guy. That's not the way you build pay-per-view, you know, especially a new platform. I would have done like pay-per-view stars, but then the problem is they're not receiving guarantees from Amazon. That's the big issue with fighters. So yeah, I wish all the best to Rollies. I mean, he's making pennies on the dollar than what I offered him. It's crazy.
Oscar, the question is though, do you think that Rolly really did not have a choice, that this is about platform protection, that PBC wanted to keep him on their platform and not send him over to the zone? Do you think that had a lot to do with the decision making?
Absolutely. Look, you're now hearing Rollies, you know, preach about, oh, Amazon's the best. How do you know? You've never been on Amazon.
You didn't want to be an Amazon superstar?
Jesus.
When you were fighting Oscar?
I was an HBO superstar, you know. but the thing, my problem is that, like, how can they be the best if you haven't even fought on that platform, and they don't give you guarantees? That's not the deal structure.
Which is what I've been telling you guys here on the channel, that for all the hullabaloo about what a big platform Amazon is, how it's so much bigger than DAZN, the deal structure, irrespective of how big the platform is not akin to the deal structure they had with Fox or the deal structure they had with Showtime. They're not being provided a budget where they could then guarantee their fighters purses.
It's looking more and more like these fighters are working off the net. Whatever the pay-per-view brings in, that's what they'll make.
Which provides no assurances of what they'll make. Yet according to Romero, whose mental faculties you have to question, he says he stood to make more from fighting Isaac Cruz than what he could have and would have made with Ryan Garcia, when we all know that commercially, the Ryan Garcia fight is a bigger fight than the Isaac Cruz fight. You could end up losing to both of those fights, but you would have made more money losing to Ryan than potentially losing to Isaac. Boxing insider Rick Glacier says a lot of rumors regarding the PBC are really starting to resonate with executives throughout boxing and PBC fighters' attorneys. Now, the hard questions are starting to be asked. including Canelo's concern over the guarantor of his purse for what is supposed to be a May 4th fight. But PBC has been dead silent about May 4th with no announcements. Some other questions now being asked: why was there zero participation from Amazon at the media conference to announce Amazon's first fight of the March 30th Zoo vs. Thurman event? And why no marketing from Amazon for that event since the media conference? There's too many negative signs to ignore. Start paying attention.
Word round the campfire seems to be that Al Heyman's been missing in action since December of last year, and he hasn't been seen or heard from, and we're in February now.
Fighters are growing impatient, and they're not waiting around. We know that Ray Vargas jumped ship. They had a plan for him to box Brandon Figueroa in defense of his WBC featherweight title, but as it turns out, he's going to be defending it against Nick Ball instead in Saudi. Subriel Matias, he jumped ship very recently, and rumor has it he's about to sign to Matchroom.
And how does all this rumored instability affect Canelo Alvarez moving forward? Because he's still got 2 fights left on what's supposed to be a 3-fight deal. If they can't formulate a guarantee for this guy, does that void the agreement? Does that void the contract? Because when he entered into it, they were in bed with Showtime, not Amazon. The situation has changed.
It's a legitimate question, irrespective of the rumors. When Canelo entered into that agreement, the PBC was in bed with Showtime, but Showtime is out of boxing now, and they're in bed with Amazon instead. Amazon's deal structure with the PBC ain't the same as Showtime was. So how does that affect Canelo?
Canelo isn't Isaac Cruz or Rolly Romero. He's not Sebastian Fundora. He's not a fighter that you can string along.
What you're talking about is one card in the first 3 months of this year. They're operating at a much reduced capacity than they were just a year ago. Just a year ago, this same time this year, they had about 5 or 6 shows from January into March, whereas now they only have 1.
You will recall that in 2023, 2022, from January into March, the PBC did something like 5 or 6 shows apiece. I mean, if you thought they were operating at a reduced capacity then, look at the capacity they're operating in now.
1 show in 3 months, and you're trying to tell me that the Amazon deal was a sweeter deal than the DAZN deal. DAZN, who likely would have given you a budget, would have helped you with marketing, would have helped you promote your shows.
I haven't seen anything in terms of marketing on Amazon relating to this card, relating to the PBC.
And yet you heard so much about the marketing arm of Amazon and how many people, how many potential customers it can reach when news first broke that the PBC was going to go with them.
Seen very little in terms of marketing outside of a kickoff press conference on YouTube. Not even Amazon.
To me, this is a self-inflicted wound because DAZN was interested in picking them up. And if they would have went with DAZN, they would have had a lot more hands on deck. They made their bed, and now they have to lie in it.